textile fiber artist, rope tucker.
Hey, I'm London Kaye. I crochet, and my Instagram's made by London.
Hi, I'm Molly Sydnor, and my Instagram is Molly Margaret Designer, and I'm a multidisciplinary artist.
I'm Alli K. My Instagram is Alli K Design, and I am an illustrative artist.
Hey, I'm Jackie Lawrence. My Instagram handle is Forest Fibers, and I'm a fiber artist.
I'm Twinkie Chan. My Instagram handle is Twinkie Chan, and I'm a crochet artist.
I'm Niki Dionne, and of actual footage of me, and I'm an illustrator and fiber artist. This is the first year that Sweet Tooth Hotel has had an all-female group of artists come to install their space. What do we think about that?
I think it's a huge deal. Yeah.
I think that, gosh, the world is catching up. Women are having like more and more moments. We're being heard more, and Sweet Tooth is such an amazing company. They're really into promoting artists and bringing more community to Dallas, and so having an all-female lineup just like puts us up front, raises us up, and there needs to be more of that in the world today. So we gotta start somewhere, and we're starting it.
It gives me chills that we're just so diverse and all of our styles are completely different, but we're coming together as one and creating one installation, and it's like cohesive and cool, and like, but none of us planned that, so it's just like really great that it's working out how it is.
I think we all have something to say, and we're given this platform, and we're able to do it. And so I think that in a world where women don't take up that much, well, we do take up space, but people don't necessarily let us. People don't necessarily want to hear us. And so Sweet Tooth has given, I think, all of us an opportunity to have our own unique voice.
Yeah, I was definitely going to say that it's definitely a great platform for not just us as a group, but for women to feel like we have a voice in this art world that's often dominated by men. And really it's just a way for us to say like, yeah, we're being taken seriously here, like people are listening to us, and that it's our time to shine right now.
And I think we've all been super supportive of each other as well, which is really nice, because I think women supporting women is just as important as women having a voice and taking up space. So, I mean, personally, I think that it's been really important for me as an artist to get critiqued through Gen Z's eyes and get like advice and techniques through y'all, which I think has benefits to the whole exhibition.
Going back to voice, I think y'all are, and I'm trying to do it justice too, but I think y'all are giving fiber artists voice.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of, I know, including me personally, I've even said like, oh, crochet, like, is it gonna be like old, and like, what's it gonna look like? And y'all have blown me out of the water. Like, just normal people that don't see it every day, y'all are gonna open their eyes to all this new perspective of what fiber art can look like.
Yeah, I think that's what we really wanted, like coming from the craft art council side when we had this idea, that's what we really wanted. We wanted to kind of open people's eyes to the possibilities with yarn, and that it's not just, it is, you know, your grandmother crocheting, it is that crochet and that timeless craft, but it's also more, and it has so many, you know, different places to grow.
But I think we've also like elevated it too.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
I think that textile and fiber has this horrible reputation of being crafty and just like you were saying, like for older hobbyists. And so I think that this is just a chance to elevate it and like,
For fiber to become conceptualized.
yes.
Because I feel like fine art is about conceptualization, and craft is about just fun and, you know, sharing or this or teaching. And this installation is really elevating it to a conceptual group.
Right.
But it also like juxtaposes the two, right?
It is both.
Right, and it's important to still respect craft too, of course, and
Of
crafts
course,
and
yes.
people, and especially because so many people are connected to Craft Yarn Council who are craft artists, who have really owned up to their medium and are excellent at it, but also recognizing that like fiber doesn't have to just be limited to that realm, that we can travel to the fine art realm too, and be a part of both at the same time.
And take up space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you just kind of talk about what it's like to be a woman in this space? whatever that means to you. You might have already covered that, but if you have any other thoughts about that, I'd love to hear them.
Well, I find it fun being a woman in this space because I do a lot of street art, and street art is definitely primarily men, so it's always surprising when people like find out that that's kind of what I do. But then you couple it with the crocheting and it becomes this like soft form of street art that I like people assume it's done by a woman, because you just wouldn't expect a guy to make like a huge flower and hang it up on a chain link fence.
Right.
They could, but they don't. Not yet.
What surprises me is that how we can inspire other women on kind of both spectrums of age on either side of us. Because when I first started crocheting, I thought that I was speaking to people sort of in a similar generation, the same age as me with like a similar aesthetic. But because of the craft, it really appeals to older generations, and then the younger generations like kind of get drawn to the color and the cuteness. So it's like, it kind of brings this community together that you didn't even know you would appeal to.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel the exact same way.
In my church, we actually had, my pastor was talking about like every generation has something to add, and he like did this thing where he had everyone from different generations stand up, and like we could see that there was like, I think like 6 generations in the room, and that everyone has something to add, and that it doesn't need to be that divide. And I think that you touching on that, I think yarn kind of bridges that. I love that. I mean, like with Warp America, we deal with a lot of older ladies that are just like real mouthy and hilarious and super sweet, like all kinds of personalities. And it's just like, not necessarily somebody that I would have a conversation with before just because I wasn't around them, but me being in fiber is putting me in the same rooms as them, and I'm just like learning so much from them, and realizing that, you know, we have more in common than we have, you know, in difference, if that makes sense.
Do any of you have advice for other women who are looking to get into making large installation art, yarn or otherwise?
I think I have a couple of like go-to sayings, but the one that has helped me the most when creating large installations or just really anything is that if it was perfect, it wouldn't look handmade. So that, I mean, I always stress of like, oh, I have to redo it, but now I like embrace the imperfections because then they know that it's not store-bought, that it was made by your hands.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with large scale installation too, your first time, it's especially important to just go for it. Like I made my first large scale installation at school, I want to say a little over 2 years ago now, and it definitely wasn't perfect. Definitely did a lot of experimenting, but it like catapulted this change in my work for me, and I wouldn't be where I am today without that one project I did.
I think it's also really important to have alternative plans.
Yeah.
An A never works.
Yeah, be a
That's
demo.
just real, that's just how it is. So yeah, just like you were saying, it's and you were saying it's never going to be perfect, but you do have to just keep going, and something will come of it, and it could, like Jackie was saying, change your work.
Another thing that is hard for me, I'll make these like large grand scale things or murals, and I'm like, oh, but this is perfect, or I really love it, like how am I going to make another one? So another great advice that I was given is that it's like it doesn't have to top what you just made, just as long as it's new and that you're moving forward in a new direction.
It's like Elizabeth Gilbert, she says, can you imagine writing a follow-up book after you pray love?
Yeah.
She was like crippled with like, she couldn't do it. She's
Yeah.
like, it doesn't have to be as good.
Yeah, just as long
Just
as
has
it's
to be
new.
out there.
Yeah.
I also heard once, I think it was Picasso who said it, don't think, just make, and let other people judge if it's good or bad.
I like that.
I like that.
And often like bad art is good in
Good
other
art.
people's eyes. So there
But
is
is
no
it,
such thing
does
as
it
bad.
cripple y'all of like what other people might think of your art, especially for like these large installations? So many people are going to be looking at it. Like in the creative process, was that hard for y'all to create, thinking about everyone seeing your pieces?
Definitely. For me, it definitely was. I mean, I constantly went back and forth like, well, is anybody gonna like this? You know, or, you know, some people might like it and other people are gonna be like, what's the point? And so I went back and forth and found myself trying to make things that I think other people would like, you know, make things like that would make other people happy. So a lot of my like earlier pom-poms were that. But then as I started to work, I mean, this is my first large installation, so like my advice, as I started to work, I just started to drop that, just stop listening to, not necessarily that anyone was telling me anything negative, but stop thinking about that, and start thinking about what if I had done prior, like what me personally, my illustrations, like what did those speak to me, like where did I come from when I was making smaller pom-poms? Let's pull that, let's go back to the core of like me, and
well, everybody's gonna have an opinion. Everybody has an opinion. Not everybody's criticism is valid. Everybody has a different experience. Some people are going to understand your work more than others, and so I think you as an artist really need to learn to like pick out the criticism that is going to advance you, that's going to bring you forward, versus just think too hard about the negative things and the criticism that might not even be valid.
Yeah, I've learned that making stuff that I personally love, it's easy to find who my people are, because the right people are going to come along and like that as well.
Trusting
And
that
everything
is
else,
hard,
trusting that it's hard, but then you have that trust of like, okay, they like that, they know that they love it, so these are my people. Anyone else that doesn't love it, those aren't my people.
Yeah,
They're
it's
not
not for
for
them.
They're not for them. We're not for each other. That's fine.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think dream big, and then just go for it, like Jackie said, because I've never lived in a large space. I've never had a lot of money, but this is my third large scale fiber installation, and I just wanted to bring to life what's in my head so badly that I honestly don't think about how other people, if they're gonna like it or not. Like, I care about how they're gonna perceive it over the concept. Is the concept coming across? But if they like or don't like it, I love it.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. In my head, I see like every single detail, every single thing I'm doing, 99% of the day. And I can like switch back into a sweet tooth room instantly and then flip back to like normal life. And it's just like forcing it to become a reality by visualizing it that like strongly.
Manifestation.
I don't normally work on a large scale at all, but when we were asked like what advice we would give to other women who wanted to start working on a large scale, I would always like think to your work, because it's very related to mine just because we're crochet artists, but like she just went out there and made her own space. You can just go out and just start doing it. Yeah, there's no barrier.
What would London do?
Are there any other female artists in this space that you admire? Definitely fiber or illustration, whatever it is. You're more than welcome to say that it's someone sitting next to you or across from you.
I have to start because I have been in awe of Niki. Niki and I met, Niki and I didn't meet.
No, for the longest time.
There was a girl who talked about Niki, and then I loved her work because I thought it was this girl, and then they were friends, and it was Niki's work. And so I was following Niki, and we would chat back and forth on Instagram, and we were just in the same space, but never existed in the same space. And the illustrations, the rugs, just like bringing textile to her illustrations, I've just been in awe of you.
Thank you.
Same.
And the pom-poms.
Yes.
Everything is just so unique, but also cohesive to like your story and what you're inspired by too.
That's
and I just
really
really admire how you stay so true to yourself in your work.
Oh, that's really affirming, because I sometimes, like I said, I want to make things that'll make other people happy, and so just coming back to myself is
You
what I'm
shine
working on now.
through your art.
Yeah, thank you so
I
much.
tell her all the time.
Yeah.
And you are making people happy. And you are making
Yes.
things that make people happy.
Make us
Yes.
happy.
That's right.
I worked at the Apple store before I crocheted as a job. But one night it was really late and this artist named Olet came in, and she's a crazy fiber
I love
artist.
her.
And I had only made scarves, and she was wearing head to toe decked out crocheted outfit. And I was like so intimidated, but like she left the store, I Googled her name, and like that's what introduced me to like the world of yarn bombing, which was kind of new back then, but she is like a pioneer.
Yeah,
She's like
she's the
crazy
mother of
colors.
yarn bombing.
Yeah, like one of them for sure.
There's this Australian artist named Jackie Fink, who I've been really inspired by, and especially back in school, she makes these really large scale knit projects, like these beautiful knit tapestries. And that was really got me into like working on a large scale and thinking that I could make things that kind of dwarf me too.
I think when I first started illustrating, illustration and yarn kind of came in my life at the same time. I was heavily inspired by Kanisha Sneed of Tactile Matter.
Yes.
Yeah, she's amazing, and she opened my eyes to crossing over between two mediums, because she's also an illustrator, and she does she's ceramics as well. And she crossed over those two mediums between her illustrations. And I was like, I can do that with yarn. Like, that opened my eyes to that I can merge these two things together and create something cohesive. So I'm definitely inspired by her.
Yeah. Amy Sherrill has always been a huge influence on me. Amy Sherrill is the artist who painted Michelle Obama's portraits. So I have a heart condition, and so does she, and we met through mutual friends in Baltimore. And I always thought her large-scale paintings were gorgeous, but then when I actually was able to find out her concepts behind them, that was always something that influenced me as an artist to be conceptual and come up with saying something and what does it mean. And then also her work is just so textured and layered, and while it is flat and 2D and painted, it's so rich, and that's kind of what I try to do with my work in a similar sense, even though my work is 3D,
But you're bringing like all those different textures, like making it dense with texture.
Dense with texture and dense with
color,
concept, and then bridging the gap. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm a very, very visual person, so I see a lot of art from different people that has an impact on me, but I can't go back and like remember who they are most of the time. I mean, definitely London and Twinkie from way back in 2012. Like when I started yarn bombing, I was started doing crochet art and stuff. But even Alli, like the business head that I feel like she has, I try to like take tidbits of how I can be a better business owner from her. And just Ebony goes like across the board. Sometimes too, it gets overwhelming seeing so much art and so much good art that I shut it off. I don't want it to influence me. I want to be who I am. I feel like I can't like close that door unless I close the door. So if I leave it open, then I feel overwhelmed. I don't know where to start. I feel like I'm copying everybody, and then I have to close the door and go back into myself and find out where I want to come from. And I listen to everybody talk about inspiration. People know who they like, where it comes from, and I felt like that I don't put the names to it. It's more just like a visual feed in my mind, I guess,
That's how I was.
I love all y'all's work. I mean, every single one of you creating things that are just super inspiring and no limits, just like, I love that. So, all of y'all.
I think I absolutely love I think this year is probably going to be my best year because I'm so wrapped around y'all, and y'all are in completely different realms of what I typically do, and I think that speaks volumes to any artist when y'all are being inspired by someone that does pottery or someone that does painting or is really business mindset. Like, that's where I think most of inspiration, true inspiration that comes from, and building confidence is definitely something that I'm striving for in myself and other artists, just because I never want someone to be inspired to be. Like, I never want someone to look at my stuff and be like, oh, I want to be like her. And that's hard, but artists can get into that like this weird spot of like, you look at everything and, oh, I want to inspire to be her, but then how do you pick a way of staying true to yourself? It's hard.
I saw someone, I don't remember who it was, but she gave advice to that. When you are starting off and you're inspired someone, your work might emulate them, it might look like them, but the thing about it is that you just keep going, you keep building, you keep growing, because your style is going to develop over time. So I think it's like, if you're starting off and your work does look like someone else's, that is fine. You're not, as long as you're not claiming it as like, be truthful and honest about who inspired you, but keep practice. Practice is what's going to develop and set you apart and find your tone.